Hey guys, Dennis here with Revog Games. I'm joined by
Joshua Weyers, all the way in South Africa.
yes, where it's like super hot over there, and
Dude, it's so hot.
surprisingly here in LA, it's rainy and cold, which is very
That's
rare for
rare.
us.
That's rare. Yeah, that's rare,
Hey,
man.
yeah, and if we forgot to mention, happy 2023. This is a brand new
Yeah,
year here.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's. It's a bit
Yeah,
belated, but we hope
yeah.
you guys had a good holiday section. Hope you had a good New Year's.
Yeah, so thanks for joining the Revog Games podcast. This is going to be a big episode, not so much because there's news, but there was so much stuff we were, kind of put together all in one video. So we're going to talk about our top
Yeah,
5 games each, and then we're going to talk about the top news stories of 2022, and then we're going to talk about our top 5 games that we're anticipating and honorable mentions for 2023. Now that it is 2023. Hope you guys had a good holiday and New Year. How's your holiday and New Year?
Um, actually, decided to skip out on Christmas this year. I
Mm-hmm.
was just my family's really big, really
Mm-hmm.
big, and I just couldn't deal with the amount of people. And New Year's was a bit smaller, so I decided to go around. I'm at my folks' place right now, so my internet might not be the best. I apologize to any of those watching if I cut in and out. I'm at the most southern tip of Africa right now. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. But yeah, it was good. It was good. It's been nice. It's been nice. I enjoyed my Christmas doing nothing. I just spent the whole day gaming. It was great. A real gamer's Christmas, you know. But I had a good New Year's as well. Watched the fireworks down at the harbor. It was good.
Yeah, my
How about yourself? Yeah.
well, Thanksgiving I had already gone back home to the Bay Area. I think I talked about that in another video. So my parents, me and my sister are down here in LA, so we didn't go actually back home for Christmas. So we just stayed here. Me and my sister, my lady, and then a couple friends just went to go eat for Christmas Eve, and then Christmas Day hung out with the lady. And I don't know, it's been pretty chill. I've been, I think I had mentioned I had shot that music video over Thanksgiving break,
Mm.
and so it was kind of slow here. So I was working on the music video as well in my free time, editing it. So
Nice.
it's almost done. So that'll be out
Doing
soon.
doing the post production.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and played some games. I didn't go like super hardcore, but I played some games, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But yeah, this is our top games 2022. I like to say, I always like to say favorite. Maybe in the title it'll say top games, but really it's your favorite, right? Because you can't play them all,
Yeah.
right? This isn't
True.
like some sort of
It's the top five of what you played.
yes, exactly. And there's a lot of
Yeah.
stuff I'll mention that I didn't play. Anyways, the top 5 games we played. This news stories, that's a different story because that's everyone
Yeah.
hears the news stories. But anyways, so this is how we'll do it. We'll start with number 5, right? And if you have whatever I say 5, like if I say it's not going to be, but let's say I said number
If
5
it's
was
my number
Elden
two, I'll
Ring,
let you know. Yeah,
then
I'll let
yeah,
you
let me
know.
know, and then we'll talk about it as it higher
Okay.
up the list. So, all right, why don't you start with your number 5? Because
Hold
your
on.
number 5,
Before,
what's up?
yeah,
Go ahead.
before we get into it completely, I would like to point out that my top five list is specifically of games that came out this year, not games that were released on PC this year, because otherwise my list would be different, kind of, to be
Mm-hmm.
fair. Like,
Yeah,
I didn't put in I didn't put in Spider-Man or Miles Morales, and
yeah.
I enjoyed one more than the other, but yeah. But
I,
that's,
I I think your criteria works. I agree with it because
yeah.
someone was asking about 12 minutes because I had posted my favorite games on my Twitter account
Mm,
and they asked about 12 minutes. I was like, that was last year, and apparently I think it came out this year on Netflix. Netflix has their own gaming service now, so it
yeah.
had come out on Netflix there, but it actually was last year that it actually came out on
Yeah,
PC.
I was gonna.
And,
Well, to be fair, my number three technically came out last year, but it had its big boom this year.
okay.
So like my category's a bit messed up. Uh, if anything, you know what? I'm actually gonna swap out my. Yeah, I'm gonna swap out my number five.
Okay.
Yeah,
Uh,
my number five. I know what my number five is now
okay.
because it's
So
changed the
my all
criteria.
right.
Why
Why don't you
not?
start first? Because my number 5 is very niche, so no one will have heard of it. So you go with your number 5.
My number five is gonna be Marvel's Spider-Man. Not Miles Morales. I did get Miles Morales as well, but
Hmm.
I'm definitely enjoying. I definitely enjoy Marvel Spider-Man more, and I'm looking forward to Marvel Spider-Man 2 coming out next year.
Next year, you mean supposedly this year?
This year, oh my gosh, I'm so not on it. That's my bad.
But we'll get to that because yeah, there's a
Yeah.
couple games on that list I don't feel are actually coming out this year. Anyways, so that's your number five is Marvel Spider-Man on PC,
Yeah,
right?
I got a while ago. I got to make sure that the PC release was this year
I'm
because
pretty
it could
sure
have
it
been
was.
last year. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was this year.
Um,
I think it was the end of
yeah.
summer, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was August.
I could, yeah, because it could very well have been.
Because
That's
it came out
interesting.
it came out before the Last of Us PC version, if I'm
Okay,
not
yeah, no, it
mistaken.
came out in August apparently. Wow, it feels
Yeah.
like so much longer ago. Wow. But yeah, that's my number five. I
Okay.
really enjoyed that game. Really enjoyed it.
I still need to, like I said, I won't buy it on PC for that price. Even when I saw a discount, I still because I own it on a PlayStation 4, so I got to
It
play it
does
there.
look a lot better. I'm not gonna lie, man.
I
Like, because
know, but
you got a 2K screen, don't you?
yes, I do.
Trust
Oh,
me, because I played it on PS4 and I bought it again on PC. It
okay.
is vastly better looking on double the resolution on your PC, running at a much higher. It's good. Maybe if they package the two together one day
Yeah,
on
yeah,
special,
yeah,
then you'll get it.
exactly.
Yeah.
If they give me Miles and Spider-Man together, like just like
Mm,
the Last of Us PC, I'm not gonna buy it until part one and part two are together, and it's at a
yeah.
reasonable price. Anyways, give me one and two together. Oh, give me Miles and the first Spider-Man for 40, and then okay, then I'll buy
Mm.
it. Anyways, my number five is a game called The Case of the Golden Idol, which is like a game no one has played. I almost put High on Life here. Um, High on Life is pretty good. It's in my honorable mentions,
Yeah.
but it's a lot of fun. But I put Case of the Golden Idol. If you ever played it, most people are not going to play this game. It's a very simple game, but for some reason I love mystery movies. I love mystery games, and this is like it's a mystery. It's like you use your logic and your brain to solve these puzzles, and it's a very simple game. The graphics are like old school, like remember Sierra style graphics.
Yeah. Oh
It's
yeah.
like it's like that, and you don't move a character around. They literally just give you a room, and they give you like all these like they show you how it is, and you've got to
Was it a
like
point and click?
yeah, it's a point and click. And
Point
it's
and click.
literally
Okay.
you're filling out like words and you have to move around. You're matching this and that and whatever, and that's how you solve the mystery. And they give you, I think, can't remember, like 11 or 12 levels or maps or whatever. And it's a game that people like me really enjoy, but not so much other people. So if you are into that stuff, definitely check it out. But it's definitely not for everyone. All right, let's move on to your number four. What's your number four?
Because we don't do enough Nintendo games here and we don't talk enough about Nintendo, I decided to put my number four as Pokemon Legends Arceus.
Okay.
Now, I am currently playing the newest Pokemon, which is Scarlet and Violet. I got the Violet edition.
Mm-hmm.
I'm enjoying that, but I did enjoy Pokemon Legends Arceus more. I like the story more. It's technically an isekai. You're traveling to the past,
Mm-hmm.
like looking at Pokemon when like the Pokeballs were still being invented and things like that. It was just a nicer theme. I enjoyed the setting of that. Also, I am enjoying Pokemon Scarlet, but there were a lot of glitches and bugs. And even right now, the game performs better in handheld mode than it does on your TV. Because when it's handheld, it's 720p, so less resolution. It runs a bit smoother. So it's yeah, still enjoying it. But yeah, so my number four, Pokemon Legends Arceus. I actually played it a few times this year because I enjoyed it so much. Um, it was like the year I kind of got back into Pokemon as well.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't played because I haven't had a Switch, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just got back into Pokemon this year. Had a lot of fun with it. Played a bunch of different Pokemon games. Enjoyed Pokemon Arceus the most by far.
Um, slightly side topic but related is I had heard that Scarlet and Violet had a lot of like technical issues
Oh, huge
with
tech
it.
issue. Well, that's what I'm saying, dude. Like you play that thing on a TV on like its docked mode
Mm-hmm.
and it's running at a 1080p, it struggles.
Yeah.
That game struggles, dude. I swear it plays better in handheld mode. At least for me personally, it plays
Mm-hmm.
better in handheld mode because it's 720 then. But even then, you still see a few. Like it's most of it's all patched out now. But on launch, there was a lot of graphical issues, a lot of shader issues,
Mm-hmm.
like a lot of big glitches for a game this big that you were like Nintendo dropped the ball. Nobody was really expecting them to drop the ball this bad. Like, and apparently, ever since the technical issues of this game, they're now taking that a lot more seriously moving forward with their other games. They're going to try to make sure that they don't drop the ball like that. Like, you can't release a game on your own console and it like lags and struggles to perform
Yeah.
on your own console. You
Yeah,
know,
a first party game. All right.
which sucks because it's a fun game. It's a really fun game. So it sucks that it has technical issues.
Yeah. All right. Number 4 for me. Also, not quite as niche as the Case of the Golden Idol, but also not a huge amount of people play. But more people will play this because it is on Game Pass. And also, like I mentioned before, about 12 minutes. This is also on Netflix's gaming section, which is this game called Immortality, which some of you have played. It got nominated for some game awards this year. It's not your typical game because it's very simplistic in terms of gameplay wise, much like the Case of the Golden Idol. You're just looking through all this footage and this story about this actress who's in these 3 movies. These 3 movies, none of them ever got released, and you're kind of looking into the mystery of why, and there's kind of like a supernatural element to it. But anyways, it's very cool. It's a mystery movie. It has a little bit thriller, maybe
You're like finding
horror.
clips and stuff.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
you're looking for clips of her and
Yeah,
things
exactly.
like that.
So
Yeah.
it's not your typical type of game, but I quite enjoyed it. I like the story. I like the performances. I like the direction, everything about it. You know, what was cool is like the 3 different movies are shot in 3 different ways, and you can really tell, like, even though obviously they were shot recently, but they give the feeling of
Like old school
different eras.
1940s and 50s. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a whole bunch of different. Yeah.
Yeah, one's like in the 50s or 60s, and another's in the 70s, and another's like in the like early 90s or something like
90s.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, definitely check that out, especially if you have Game Pass. But like I said, not your typical game. But if you're into indie games and you're into something off the beaten path, definitely check out Immortality. And then, you know, we're getting into the top 3. This is where the normal AAA titles for me come in. What's your number 3?
I think we might only be sharing one in the top 3, to be honest, because my number 2 and 3 are a little bit more niche. I also would like to point out I am also kind of going along with my play hours. I looked at Steam and all those other things, and I saw what games I played the most. And you'd be surprised that one of my honorable mentions is actually Halo 5. It's not in my top 3, surprisingly enough. It is an honorable mention. But my number 3 is Vampire Survivors, because I put so many hours into that game, Dennis. Like, I know I had a good time playing that game this year, and now it's on mobile, and I'm playing it like every time I go to the bathroom or when my power gets cut, which is like every 2 or 3 hours. So I play so much of that game. Love roguelike games. I've been playing the crap out of the DLC that came out recently. I'm really enjoying it. I have apparently put over 150 hours into this game on Steam, which is crazy for like a $2 or $3 game. You know what I mean? It took up a lot of my time.
I have not played it yet, so that's why it's not on my list. I heard it's super addictive. Now, I was watching, I think it was Skill Up's kind of Games of the Year 2022, and I think he had a little backstory about why the game's so addictive. Apparently, the developer used to work on casino slot machine games.
Yeah, slot machines,
And so that he took that that experience about how to get people connected and how to get them to keep playing, and he put that into a game.
And there are actual slot machines in the game too, technically.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's a chest, and it's like a slot machine essentially, but there's no you don't win from it. But the game technically came out last year, but it had its big boom this year, and it got released on consoles and mobile devices. Like this year was when it had its huge boom. You know what I mean? Technically, it was like early access last year, but I don't know anybody that knew about this game last year. This is the year where it blew the hell up.
All right. Let's see here. So my
number 3.
Number 3. So now we're getting to the more traditional fare. A Plague Tale Requiem.
Yeah.
I did not play the first one. I know people will get mad at me. I will play the first one later on, but I heard it definitely departs from the original.
Mm.
The story and the gameplay becomes much more AAA, much more Uncharted like. Yeah, the story's great, the performances are great, the graphics are good. I'm playing on the PC. It's on Xbox Game Pass. As you can see, 2 out of my 3 so far. Case of the Golden Idol I bought on Steam myself, but my number 3 and 4 were, Game Pass games. And, Plague 12 Requiem, and Immortality are definitely great games. They're not, I mean, Plague 12 Requiem is pretty much AAA by now, but it's kind of like in that area of where 2 AA, AAA in between. But anyways, yeah, great story, great performances. The gameplay is fun. Like I said,
I still have to finish it, but from what I played of it, I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I typically don't like stealth games, but sometimes when they're done well, like this, or I'm trying to think of what other games, like Splinter Cell, like where it's not so much, I guess it's the kind where, like, if you get found out, you can still fight your way out of it. It's just like stealth helps. I hate the games where it's like you've been caught and then you got to do the whole thing over. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I do think this game at least builds more tension with the stealth.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of games are just like, hey, you got to be stealthy now, otherwise you're gonna get caught. Whereas at least, with the beginning part of Plague Tale Requiem, it's like I don't know, you really don't want to get caught. Like, it feels heavy. You know what I mean? Like, it feels heavier the reason you're hiding, if that makes sense. Like, yeah.
All right, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is, I had to go back because I, honest to God, thought this game came out a year ago. Because I haven't played it in a while. I play it on my Switch every now and then, but I played it on PC, which is Hades, another roguelike game. I once again also put roughly about 150 hours, just under 150 hours in this game. I only have it as a number 2. The reason why Hades is my number 2 and not Vampire Survivors is because Hades had a story. Mm-hmm. That's the only reason that it's I love both games. Both games were highly addictive. Roguelike games are like when you level up and you get to choose a new ability, and I really love roguelike games. So yeah, Hades was nice because it had a story. You get to slowly unlock the characters and had a lot of depth to it. Really looking forward to the second Hades number 2 coming out this year. I keep forgetting that it's 2023. But yeah, my number 2 was Hades. I spent a lot of time on that game. And I loved it. The art style was phenomenal. The story was good. The characters were well done, and the way you progress throughout the game and level up was fantastic.
All right, my number 2 game of the year was God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah, because you got to play it.
Yeah, I bought it on PS4.
Yeah.
I gave in and bought it on PS4 because I looked at the graphics, and obviously the PS5 is better, but like it wasn't like so night and day.
It's not a generational leap.
Yeah. And God of War Ragnarok kind of doesn't disappoint. It follows up much like the God of the game before, and has a really good story, great characters. The combat's also great, and they've like added some more stuff to it. They haven't like drastically changed it, but they've added some more gameplay devices to it. Yeah,
I believe I haven't played it, but like I don't know if this is a spoiler or not. And I've watched most of the gameplay, but you finished it. Have you finished it?
I haven't finished it yet. No.
Okay, I was gonna say apparently they brought back the spear, which is like an OG weapon from like the older God of War games. Which because I watched a podcast about the guy, basically because everyone was like, why doesn't Kratos get to wield Mjolnir? And he was like, well, it's like the whole point of the axe was for it to be the opposite of Mjolnir. You know what I mean? So, but they did give apparently they did give us the spear from the OG games. I really want to play that game so badly, and I think I should just get it on my PS4.
Yeah,
I just gotta. I haven't been able to pull my PS4 away from my nephew because it's the only thing he has for gaming, and he just plays Apex all the time. And like, man, it's heartbreaking having to separate a kid from his games. But I should just do it for like 2 weeks and then just
loan him your Switch.
True, yeah.
For 2 weeks.
True, I'll just lend it It's a trade-off, and I'll just finish the game. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I have to play God of War Ragnarok, man.
Yeah, you know, like I said, I thought I was gonna wait for the PC. I knew I wasn't gonna PS5 anytime soon, but then I feel like the PC is not gonna come until end of next or end of this
Mhm.
year. Now that's 2023. I was like, everyone's talking about it. I don't want to get any spoilers, so I'm gonna play it. But yeah, great game.
I might do the same with Horizon Forbidden West. The thing is, like, I've been waiting because that is a huge difference. At least from the PS4 to the PS5, that is a huge difference graphically. Like the graphics look vastly better on PS5. So I've been waiting for it because I know it's going to be huge on PC as well. But I'm starting to like to crack under that pressure of like I haven't watched any videos, nothing spoiled to me, but like I really want to. I need to know the continuation of the story because the first game got me hooked on story. Gameplay was great, but the story got me hooked, man. So I
Yeah,
might crack and get that too.
yeah, I haven't finished it yet just because I started playing High on Life recently, which is
Nice.
a very easy
It's a fun game, man.
It's
Yeah.
an easy digestible game. It's a lot of fun. I think
It's like the Family Guy of video games. You know, you can just
yeah.
shoot things and laugh.
It's not like a big deal. Like when you play God of War Ragnarok, I gotta like concentrate. You know, it's actually
Although, yeah,
like
the platforming's kind of fun and easy. You know, you're
yeah.
never thinking too hard and high on
Yeah,
life. I like
yeah,
that. You know.
exactly. It's funny or whatever. Anyways.
Mhm.
All right. So number one, what's your number one game of
Dennis, we
2022?
both have the same number
Yeah,
one.
that's true.
Why are we
Yeah,
playing coy
that's
with
true.
each other?
Yeah, we
We
should just
both
talk
have the
about it.
exact same number one. There's
Elden
no
Ring.
point.
Elden Ring.
Elden
Yeah,
Ring, man. Of course.
yeah.
That's the game that like reignited the spark for gaming that I loved. I was getting into like very competitive games before then because I was kind of like I wouldn't say like the light was dying out, but I was kind of getting bored of games, so I needed to play
Hmm.
competitive games, like really competitive games, to keep me on like the edge of my seat, to get the adrenaline, because that was the only thing keeping me playing those games. But ever since Elden Ring, man, like now I'm enjoying games again for the sake of exploring them. You know what I mean? Not trying to be the best or trying to beat the game as quick as possible or on its hardest difficulty setting, but like exploring every element of a game, walking around everywhere, finding new things, finding new ways to do things. It just filled me with a lot of like a sense. Yeah, the game filled me with like a sense of wonder, but then also like, for lack of better, like I wish I had a better word to describe it, but I was just so like there was so much you could do in that game. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? The game was absolutely huge. There was so many combinations, so many different play styles, and it like for me it wasn't overwhelming. It was like it was just I wish I had a word to describe it, but it filled me with a certain sense of like wonderment, and I love that game, and it got me back into loving old games. I went back and I played Legend of Zelda again
Hmm.
after that because that's where it kind of got its influence for the open world structure. Played the crap out of that game again this year. Recently
Hmm.
replayed Elden Ring just after the Game Awards
Hmm.
because I was like, you know what? I mean, I haven't tried the Colosseum update. I just decided to start a new game. Why not? And I'm enjoying it once again. It's not as fun as the first like 8 times I played the game,
Hmm.
but it's still pretty fun.
Yeah, definitely not just my number one game of the year, but it's definitely entered
Possibly the
my
decade, man.
favorite games of all time. I mean, I would have to look at my list, but it's definitely entered that. It does what other. It is my only critique of it is it doesn't really have a developed story. It has a great background and
Yeah,
lore, but the story itself for your character and whatever is happening is very vague and very whatever.
yeah, no.
But everything else, is great. I love. I mean, the thing I love the most is definitely exploring the open world,
Mm,
finding little nooks and crannies, and finding little going around little corners, and all of a sudden discovering something new that you hadn't experienced before. Fighting the different bosses. I'm usually a person who's like, kind of at that age where like I'm in it more for the story,
mm,
and less, trying to beat like a hard boss. But this is one of the games where you kind of get rewarded, for beating
yeah.
hard bosses, and for leveling up and getting all these items. So it's one of those things where it's incentivized because it's like when you beat a hard boss in different games, sometimes it's like cool, you beat the boss and you get that satisfaction. But like this one, they actually like, okay, you actually did something.
But
But
the
anyways,
satisfaction is like quadruple in this
yeah,
game because
exactly.
the bosses are that hard. You feel like you've accomplished like a life accomplishment. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like at least that's the feeling I had. Like Dennis, there were certain like bosses that I would defeat, and I felt the same way I would feel when I land an audition in real life. You know, like it's that similar. It feels like a real life accomplishment, you know?
So yeah, I logged like 120 hours on this. I only did one. I didn't do New Game Plus. I only used one character. Did a strength build, strength dex build. That's the other cool thing is making different characters with different build types. Anyways, I eventually will go back and play a different type of build.
Oh man, you gotta try like if you like strength, try like a faith strength build.
Yeah,
You
something
can
like
still
that.
that way you can still do a bit of strength. Dude, faith was that was like when I got in like right at the end. I got into the faith build. Those it was fun towards the end. Yeah.
Yeah, but this game,
Mage was cool, but it was too easy. I finished the game the first time as a mage, and then I had to go back and play it as a dex. I did dexterity after that, strength dexterity as well, because it didn't feel right.
anything with melee weapons is a lot harder in this game.
Exactly, it's way more rewarding if you beat the game with melee weapons. So I still use my ashes. Obviously, you know what I mean. A lot of like people are like, "Oh, you got to beat Elden Ring without using any ashes." No
Hell
help.
no.
You know what I mean?
Hell no. Hell no.
Yeah, exactly.
Give me those ashes. Give me those ashes.
All the ashes, dude.
Yeah,
All
exactly.
the ashes,
I'll sprinkle the ashes everywhere. Come
everywhere,
on,
man.
man.
I'll summon
like
everything,
I said,
man.
I'm not a pro gamer. I'm not a hardcore gamer. I play games that have fun. Yes, do I want the challenge? Do I want the eye-hand coordination challenge? Sure. I want the think. Like, that's why I play like some of these mystery puzzle games. I want my brain to be activated and use my logic to try and solve these things. But I don't want it to the point where it's like, you know, where it's like starts to become work, you know? So anyways,
Yeah.
That's what Elden Ring, you know, I've never played a Souls game before this. And I will go back and try and play some, but I know I'm not going to have that same experience because Elden Ring rewards you for playing longer and exploring more, where in those other games you're kind of like
They're a lot more linear as well.
Yeah, you got to beat it.
Yeah,
you
they're
know?
very linear.
There's
only one way you can go. Yeah, if you're stuck at a boss, you're stuck at a boss. That's that. You know what I mean? They're also a lot more gloomy. You know what I mean? Very gloomy. A lot of those other games,
which is funny because Elden Ring already is gloomy itself.
Yeah, at least Elden Ring has like some like
sunlight,
like you know what I mean? Like the Erd Tree, sunlight. That's the real word. Yeah, at least Elden Ring has sunlight. Yeah. Bloodborne is just like miserable and.
That's the game I'm probably gonna play next.
I recommend it, man. Also recommend the crap out of Sekiro. Sekiro is amazing as well.
Yeah,
Sekiro is all about the deflect, all about the parry.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna do Bloodborne first. But anyways, Elden Ring, not just my favorite game of the year of 2022. One of my favorite games ever.
I think it's one of my I think there's two games I look back at there's a couple in my childhood. Well, there's like a couple in the past 20 years. I'd say in the past 20 years, the games that stood out the most to me would probably have to be Skyrim, Elden Ring, and then obviously like the Half-Life 2 generation of like computer gaming, like all those like early 2000s FPS games are near and dear to my heart. But yeah, man, like in the past 10 years, this is the best game I've ever played. Hands down in the past 10 years.
I have to look at my list, but it's definitely it's up there for me with like Fallout 3, like the Mass Effect trilogy.
Yeah. The last game I loved this much.
Half-Life Alyx was probably the last game for me.
The last game I loved this much was Skyrim, and that came out 2011, and this is 2022.
Yeah.
So yeah, exactly about 10 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So the honorable mention stuff I mentioned, High on Life, that was almost made my number 5 list. Red Matter 2, which is a VR game, it's follow up to the original Red Matter. The Iron Man VR on Quest is actually not bad. It originally came out.
Is it not bad?
Yeah, it's not bad.
I've been thinking about getting it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's fun.
Okay.
Like I said, I didn't play Vampire Survivors, so that's not on my list. I did play Pentiment, which IGN gave it a 10 out of 10. Oh, granted, I only played 45 minutes of it, but I wasn't that into it yet. Maybe I just haven't hit that point yet, because right now it's just you walking around talking to people. It's a lot of like history, a lot of of that time. I haven't gotten yet into whatever the mystery is supposed to be in this, and maybe it'll get better. But right now, I don't see the allure of it, but I could be wrong. I mean, shit, the first like hour or so on Elden Ring, I hated the game about how hard it was. Like when you're in the
I
beginning,
remember that. I remember you
Oh.
hated the beginning of it. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was
You
like,
were you literally hated it. And like 2 or 3 days later, you were hooked. I
yeah.
remember that. You were hooked. Yeah.
Well, the one thing I think I didn't understand that they should have kind of told you, or maybe they did tell me and I just glossed over it, was the fact that when you were over encumbered, like when you have too much shit,
Oh yeah.
you're like
you
super
move slower.
slow. And so I was wondering why I was getting my ass kicked all the time. I was like, why does my guy suck so bad? And a lot had to do with yeah. So anyway,
poise.
Once I figured out the whole like how everything worked,
all the mechanics.
That's when I got hooked.
Yeah, that's an old school Souls-like mechanic. They don't tell you that. They just kind of expect you to know.
There's a lot of stuff in Elden Ring they don't tell you. You have to look. I usually don't look up. I don't look at walkthroughs for games. Usually when I look up walkthroughs, it's literally just to see how many more levels I have. That's usually what I look at walkthrough. I just want to see what chapter I'm on and what chapter. But this one, I didn't look up that so much. I looked up more like secret locations for stuff because I was like, I'm not gonna spend my time trying to discover
secret loot locations and stuff.
Yeah. So, anyways, what are your kind of honorable mentions?
Well, the first two that come to mind that almost made my list was High on Life and Halo. I really enjoyed the Halo campaign, like way more than the Halo multiplayer. I did play a lot of the Halo multiplayer this year with friends just because it was a good game that anybody can have access to. It's free, the multiplayer. But played the crap out of the campaign. Played a little bit of the co-op. Had some fun with some friends. Played the 4-player co-op on there. So I had a lot of fun with that. High on Life I'm loving because it's hilarious. I just wish that I haven't finished it yet, but I feel like I'm about to finish it, and I just wish it was a bit longer. I know it's a short game. It's not even that expensive. Like how much was it in? I know it's on Game Pass, but how much is it in the US? The game.
I want to say 40. I think it's
because out here it's like $20 roughly.
Yeah,
it's
like
cheap.
Like 40.
Which makes sense for how long the game is. The game's not that long, but it's fun.
I'm on the two.
Yeah.
I'm at the boss of the two brothers.
Okay, yeah. I think you're still ahead of me then. But yeah, there's only a limited amount. It's fun though. I didn't know that they used AI for a lot of the voices. As a voiceover actor, that makes me sad because I know that I'm just losing work to AI. Yeah, Justin Roiland used they used a lot of AI because there's so much dialogue. So like not for the main guns but like a lot of the NPCs, that's AI.
Oh.
So most of the NPCs, it's all like there's so much dialogue in that game, which is why I love it. But because of that, they had to do AI, and I get that. But it's like, I don't know, man. I've literally been feeling the effect AI voices had on my wallet this year as a voiceover actor. Like I don't get audiobooks anymore. People just use AI for that. But it was a great game. So like my other honorable mentions is Sifu. I really liked Sifu. Played it again recently. Had a great time with it. Ghostwire Tokyo was a lot of fun as well. And then two games I want to talk about that aren't coming out this year, but they're just games that I play all the time. Valorant, I played the shit out of this. I played the crap out of Valorant every year since it's come out. I love that game. Love it to bits and pieces. It's a good competitive game. Gets my blood going. I also hate the game, but that's how you know it's a good esports game. You know what I mean? You can't anything that's that sweaty and competitive is never. It's gonna be fun, but also you're gonna hate it and you're gonna hate to love it and love to hate it. And anyways, part of my blood at this point. Also, this is the year that I got back to playing Fortnite because Fortnite it was in March of this year, I think, they released the no build mode, and I got sick and tired of playing Fortnite because I had like 10-year-old kids building freaking mega towers around me, and I'm just sitting on the ground trying to shoot at them. So it really leveled the playing field.
Never got into the building thing.
It leveled the playing field by getting rid of it completely, and they just added a bit of parkour instead. And I've been playing it like almost daily now since they did that. Not daily, but like at least once or twice a week with friends because it's casual. Like the thing is I can't take Fortnite seriously, which makes it more fun for me. You know what I mean? Like if I took it seriously, I'd be like, oh man, I died. It sucks. I just laugh. I'm like, well, who cares? I'm just gonna. Some dude's probably doing an emote over my dead body. I'll laugh at it anyways. But Yeah, those two ongoing games surprised me. Not surprised me. I played a lot of it this year. Sorry, what surprised me was the Nintendo Switch Sports. That's my other honorable mention.
Hmm.
Really had a good time with Switch Sports. It's a great family game. It's a great like icebreaker. You know, if you're having a couple people over for like a barbecue or some beers or something, and it's just a great icebreaker. Great way to like get people to like chill out and stuff.
Hmm.
Good little fun game there. Yeah.
Cool. All right, so that's our top or favorite, like I mentioned, favorite
Yeah.
games of 2022. Let's talk about the big news stories. Let's
Mhm.
do the top five, and I think you have some more. Let's start with the first one. So the biggest news was, and it's kind of a all-encompassing thing. So the big thing to start off was Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard, which is still in the process. And there's this
Correct.
whole
Yeah.
battle between Microsoft and the FTC. Microsoft and there's Sony's side trying to like downplay their own success so that Microsoft can't buy Activision Blizzard. Activision or Microsoft saying that they had offered Sony a 10-year deal for Call of Duty and have no plans on removing it from the PlayStation platform, etc., etc. Sony buys
And
Bungie.
they offered it to Nintendo.
Yeah. Sony
Yeah.
buys Bungie. Embracer bought Square Enix Montreal, which included Tomb Raider, Deus Ex,
For
a bunch of other
$300 million,
yeah,
Dennis.
that was like a steal.
That's nothing.
Yeah.
That's nothing, dude.
Yeah.
Imagine owning the Tomb Raider game franchise for $300 million. Like that alone, that's crazy, dude.
Yeah. Elon probably should have spent his money on that instead of
Yeah,
Twitter.
it would have worked out better for him.
Yeah, instead of Twitter, which is like tanking right now and affecting his other businesses. But anyways, this is the big thing. Acquisitions, supposed monopolies, this is still ongoing. It's a battle. Sony is kind of feeding these government agencies, telling them, no, man, don't let it happen. This, if Microsoft wins or acquires Activision Blizzard, it's all over, which is kind of funny because technically Microsoft is like number 3 in the world.
Yeah.
In games. So I don't know how being number 3
And I think
makes you a monopoly.
well, I think they become number 3 if they get this acquisition.
Yeah, they're probably
Like they're not even
four.
number 3. Yeah.
They're probably number
Yeah,
4.
exactly.
Um,
Which is still like you said, it's funny. Like, how can it be a monopoly? Also, first of all, besides the fact that like you're number 3, you can't have a monopoly if you're the third guy. Besides that, the actual way that the company works, it's not a monopoly. You know what I mean? It would be a monopoly if all of these games were only on their console. If every single one of these games were only on console and not on PC, then I could see it being a monopoly because it's like you have to own their device in order to play all these games. You know what I mean? It's the same reason why movie studios aren't legally allowed to own movie cinemas because of the monopoly, where it's like, hey, you can only come to our cinemas to watch our movies. So it's just I don't know. Like I don't know why this is still a thing.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I get it's a major multi-million dollar acquisition and people have to make sure that it happens fairly and everything goes through, but it's like half the lawsuits that we get hit with are just frivolous and like dumb. You know what I mean?
Well, the weird thing too is the whole protest against it is that now Microsoft will own these properties that will be exclusive to them, supposedly, if which is funny
It's like
because
it's a market share thing as well, but you can't like if you're third, how big is your market share?
and also
33%.
Sony. The only reason Sony is in the position they are is because they made exclusives, because they had God of War, Spider-Man, Uncharted, Last of Us, Ghost of Tsushima. These are all fantastic games, but they're all exclusive to Sony, and now at least they've opened it up to PC. But Microsoft has never had an issue of opening up or putting games both on PC and Xbox, So anyways, this is just kind of an ongoing thing. It's not over yet. Microsoft, I think, is suing the FTC right now, or like counter-suing them because...
The FCC.
No, FTC.
The FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, okay.
Yeah. Because I think they're planning on blocking it. But anyways, this is the biggest story of 2022, and
by far, yeah.
and may still be the biggest story of 2023. We'll see what happens. So let's move on to the second one that I have, which is we already talked about it, so we don't need to go too in depth about it. But the Elden Ring phenomenon. I mean, Elden Ring was a game that a lot of people were anticipating. We knew it was going to be most likely going to be the most successful From Software game. We just didn't know it was going to be that big.
Yeah.
It was
We knew it
like
was gonna, yeah, we knew it was gonna be well received, and we knew
yes.
people were gonna love it because From Software makes the best Souls-like games because
Hmm.
they created essentially created the genre. You know what I mean? So people knew that was gonna be good. But Elden Ring was the game that got everybody who isn't into Souls-like games to try it out.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It was huge. I mean, the Let Me Solo Her. You know,
Yeah.
remember that? Remember that whole
Yep.
story? That was fun, man. A guy who dedicated his whole life to helping people beat Millennia because she's that difficult. He had such a horrible time fighting her that he made it his life goal to just defeat this boss over and over again
Yeah.
for other people as well. I love that. Yeah. Didn't they? Wait, they sent him a katana, didn't they?
Yeah.
Didn't they send him? Yeah,
That's
that was cool.
badass.
They sent the yeah, that was badass. Yeah.
But also a lot of memes like the whole mating list thing,
Mhm.
like
Oh yeah, it's so true.
just such a great
Man.
insult. But yeah, it just became a phenomenon
I
in video
felt
game
that, by the
culture.
way, before it even became a meme thing, because I played that game day one.
Yeah.
Like the minute you walk out into that open world, you get called maidenless. Like that's
Yeah.
like the
It's
first thing
like
that gets said to
it's
you,
such an
and you're like,
insult.
Jesus. Like I had never heard that before in my life. Like it was the first time I heard that maidenless. Like you are maidenless, and I was
Yeah.
like, wow. I felt that. I
Wow.
was like, that is an insult.
Yeah.
That is brutal. I was like, I'm gonna call
Yeah.
people that from now on. You're fucking
Exactly.
maidenless.
But yeah, this game, yeah, blew up, and it was like people, not me, you, my friend Chuck, nonstop texting back and forth.
Mhm.
Like, oh my god,
That's
did you
true
do
about
this?
what.
Oh my god, did
Yeah.
you do this? Do you see
Did you
this?
try
Yeah,
this? Yeah.
exactly. How far are you? Did you get to this boss? Blah, blah. Anyways, that game definitely was a huge phenomenon. I don't know when the next time we're gonna see a game like that. I know like God of War Ragnarok obviously is a huge game, but like there wasn't as much chatter
Cultural
about the
and cultural impact.
yeah exactly. All right, number 3 I have Microsoft delays Starfield. Also, no AAA titles this year. So Microsoft, last year they had Halo Infinite and they had Horizon Forza,
Forza, yeah,
yeah, Forza Horizon um,
5.
5. So that was kind of their two AAA titles that came out this year. Zero.
If we're gonna talk about delays, I'm just gonna go through a couple games that got
Yeah, go
delayed
for
here.
it.
I'm just gonna speed through them. Skull and Bones got delayed for the fifth time,
Hmm.
which is supposed to come out 2023. It'll probably get delayed for a sixth time.
Hmm.
Hogwarts Legacy got delayed, not too far, February, around the corner. Arc Raiders got delayed. Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora got delayed. Lord of the Rings Gollum got delayed. I think that game should get cancelled because everything I've seen from it looks cursed.
Yeah.
Sons of the Forest got delayed. The Day Before got delayed. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League got delayed. Stalker 2 got delayed. Atomic Heart got delayed, which is unfortunate because I think Atomic Heart was going to come to Game Pass like technically now, but now
Yeah.
it's going to be in like April or something.
Yeah.
And then Forspoken got delayed as
Right.
well. So just to list through the games that got delayed this year.
Yeah. And probably 50% of they
Yeah,
decided to put in February because for some reason
yeah.
that's the new hot month.
Mm.
Besides Christmas, like besides November, that's like the new.
February was it's because it was a very big February's always been a big Japanese gaming month
Hmm.
because of Golden Week for sales and stuff like that. Usually a lot of Japanese games are released around February.
All right. Number 4, I have Sony. They relaunched their PS Plus subscription
Yes, the
service.
PS Plus tiers, yeah.
Yes, and
I'm
so
still upset about that.
it's to kind of a middling reaction. Some people, it's definitely not as successful as Game Pass, mainly because
Mm.
they are not doing day one releases on there, and 2 because their tiers are very confusing. I am on like the lowest PS Plus, which basically doesn't have any kind of
It's just
games.
like the
It,
two free
yeah,
games a
it's
month, like
yeah,
the base
exactly.
old school
Yeah,
PS Plus, yeah.
yeah. That's what I'm on, and I
Yeah,
hardly ever
I'm
use it.
still yeah. Look, I'm still upset about that. Like I like PS Plus, like the base tier that
Hmm.
you're on, the one where you just get two free games a month. You know what I mean? That's plenty for me.
Hmm.
As long as you pay the subscription, you get access to those games. But what I'm upset about is that you have to get a higher tier to get the streamable games,
Yeah.
which because they got rid of PS Now, and PS Now was a service you could pay for on its own, and it even worked on PC. You know what I mean? You could technically use PS Now through your browser. So you could even technically use PS Now on an Xbox. You used to be able to use the Edge browser. You could stream PS4 games onto your Xbox One, which was a crazy time to be alive. But then they got rid of PS Now. Well, they still have it, but now it's integrated in their tier system. And now, when I was paying $10 for a service to stream games on my PC, I now have to pay like $20 or $30 for that same service, and it includes a bunch of crap that I don't want. You know what I mean? I mean, if I had a PlayStation, I might be more enticed, but they really shot themselves in the foot by saying, "Hey, everybody who is using our service outside of PlayStation owners, screw you guys." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like like they should have left PS Now on its own thing and marketed it to PC players and be like, "Hey, look at all these PlayStation games you can stream on your PC right now." You know?
Yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah. To me personally, I just am not interested until, like I said, I played all or I either play or own all of the AAA exclusive PlayStation titles, and then I have Game Pass for anything that's like third party. So it's like there isn't much for me. I'm not gaining anything by subscribing to it. That's my problem. What am I gaining? If you're not doing day one releases, then I'm not getting anything new out of it. So
I would get it only for their PS3 games because a lot of their their older backlog catalog, really difficult to buy those games in the modern era. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Unless you because I don't even I think the PS3 store, like the PlayStation store and the PS3 may have been shut down. I don't know if you can still buy games on there.
Mm-hmm.
I just know it's very difficult to get hold of certain PS3 games. But if it's on the PS Plus catalog, you can just stream it. You know what I mean? Rather than going through like a week of searching on eBay or something. You know?
Yeah. And then I want to mention something that's related to this topic and the last topic, because last year I had declared 2021 that Microsoft won the year because
Console wars or whatever.
not
Microsoft.
not the war,
Sony
but just the year.
Sony technically won the console war.
So yeah, so I said Microsoft won last year in terms of games because they had Halo Infinite, they had Forza Horizon, and also you had just Game Pass being hugely popular
in general. Yeah,
and by default, because all the big games got delayed from Sony, that Microsoft basically won. So the kind of opposite happened this year. Now Sony wins 2022 because they came out with two big AAA titles. They had whatchamacallit, was it
Forbidden West, Horizon?
Yeah, and
Horizon Forbidden West.
Yeah,
God of War Ragnarok.
And God of War Ragnarok, the two AAA huge titles that were both well received critically and commercially. So I feel like Sony, even though PS Plus subscription wasn't that, didn't win over that many people, they won just because they had two great games come out this year, exclusive to their console, where Microsoft had none. They had a few like smaller games, one they had Game Pass, they had but they didn't really have any big games. That's this year now for 2023, which we'll talk about in a little bit. We'll talk about our most anticipated games, and they have a lot. But yeah, Sony wins 2022. And then number 5, and then we'll have more news topics that you have. But number 5, I had
a couple small things.
Valve releases Steam Deck.
Yes, that was big this year. Yeah, I still really want to get one, even though I've technically got a Switch, and that like meets my mobile gaming needs. Mm-hmm. The more and more I see of this Steam Deck, the more I want one. Like it can run a lot of it's impressive how many games it can run and like what games it can run. Mm-hmm. I suppose if you have it in handheld mode, it is at a much lower resolution, but still it looks fantastic. I still want to try out those trackpads on it for like RTS games and stuff. It's interesting because it obviously has a lot of influence from the Steam controller. I don't know if you remember the Steam controller.
I remember. I never used it, but I remember it coming out.
It was supposed to be a big thing, and like I know a few people who tried it who said that they loved it. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it's very niche because it's like touchpads. Like some people, it was so that you could play RTS games and MOBAs or like point and click games where you need a mouse. So it had those trackpads built in, and it's nice to see that they got those trackpads on the Steam Deck. So it's kind of like an incredibly evolved version of their older. It's interesting to see where Steam has come from in terms of like production. You know what I mean? They created like their headsets, their VR headsets that they've created. it's just crazy that they started with a little controller. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And now they're doing the Valve Index, and then they're doing the Steam Deck, and their production, their actual physical production of products has gone up in the past years. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's if I traveled more, I'd probably get one. But
Mm.
as it is, I'm working,
If
from
if
home.
if your power got cut every 3 hours, you'd probably
Yeah,
want
that
one
that
too, Dennis.
definitely. That's
You probably
definitely
want one too.
much bit more beneficial for you. Yeah, I just like I said, I'm not a big mobile gamer, even though there's lots of games I want to play, and some of them
Mm.
are on Steam. Yeah, I just don't have the time for it, so it's not worth
Yeah.
it for me. I probably would spend the money, on a new laptop or something like that. Something, probably. I'll be honest with you, I'd probably get something video production wise. That's kind of where
I'd
that's
say
what kind of where my money.
I get a new graphics card, man. Yeah, or a new camera
Yeah,
or a new graphics card.
yeah. All right. So what other news topics do you have that were big in
Uh,
2022?
G4 shut down, which
Yeah,
is a no-brainer, to be
yeah. That
honest.
was
We all knew it was gonna happen, man. They
yeah.
hired like a bunch of streamers and influencers to help run it, and a lot of them were some of my favorite people. But then they just decided to like not market it online at all. They had some huge, like really big,
Hmm.
big streamers and influencers on their show, and if they just did like one show a week on Twitch or on YouTube, like if they had like moved their show, but then again, Comcast is trying to get people to, because it was
Yeah,
who bought it over Comcast? Yeah, they're trying to get people to
it's
like
a bad
go back to
match.
cable,
It's a
bad
bad
to
match.
cable, exactly, bad match, man. If Twitch bought G4, that would have been great. You know what I mean? Or if YouTube bought G4, like that would also, if any like live streaming website got G4, that would have been fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely not
Um,
a surprise. Unfortunate. And I,
yeah.
I, I do think G4 TV
A
has
couple
a
of the shows were good though. Like
yeah,
mind you, the only thing I saw was what was re-uploaded to YouTube. So it's
yeah,
not like I went and watched it on the
yeah.
Comcast
That's why it was a bad match.
cable. Exactly, yeah. GTA 6 was announced, but only because of the huge leaks,
Yeah.
and they arrested the kid. Um, I was very happy to see the GTA 6 leaks because when I first heard about it, I was like, the first couple of things I saw were like looked horrible. But then I saw one or two clips from the leaks that looked fantastic. And I was like, this is kind of low-key great marketing for GTA 6 because some of those clips looked really next gen and like really like just like working on like door physics and how the door works. And Rockstar takes things so seriously, man. I watched a video the other day of someone playing Red Dead Redemption 2 and they're walking past these guys who are like working on the railroad and
Hmm.
the NPCs are so well built that you can actually see them slowly hammer in the nails on the railroad track and then move to the next nail and hammer it in. Like they're actually physically building that. You know what I mean? Like that's
Hmm.
next level, like computing when it comes to AI. So I'm looking forward to GTA 6. The AI is going to be off the rails. The graphics look fantastic,
Look,
and yeah, the leaks just got me excited.
having done some small game development, like bad graphics from leaks it has nothing to do. You know what I mean? The graphics are
Mhm.
handled later on.
And you don't know
Um,
what they're working on, or you don't know what got leaked. You know what I mean?
they're trying to get
Yeah.
gameplay down first, and then you kind
Mhm.
of fix up the graphics and optimize the
Exactly.
graphics.
Yeah.
You need to make
Good.
sure
A
that
good example. Sorry. Carry on.
no, just saying you just need to make sure
Go.
that the actual gameplay works. First. And
Exactly. Yeah. A good example of that is Skate. EA. That's something else that big happened this year. That was at least for me was big. Was that EA has decided to make Skate again, or like they're rebranding or
mhm,
relaunching Skate as a free to play game. And currently they've like invited a bunch of like all like a lot of like Skate 3 YouTubers, like people
mhm.
who are like their YouTube channels about Skate. They got a lot of them to like kind of like oversee the game, and they're showing you like gameplay leaks, or not leaks, but they're showing you what they're working on,
They're
and there's
alpha
like
footage.
yeah, there's zero graphics. They're like, look at the gameplay looks great. Like you're just
Yeah.
looking at these polygons, but it looks great.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
anyone who
See,
sees those
yeah.
graphics from the leaks and judges the game on that is just like
Mm.
I don't know.
Did we mention Google Stadia closing?
No, but
Yeah.
also
So
not a big
Google, yeah,
surprise. Not
yeah, that
just
was
like
also a
G4.
no-brainer.
Yeah, just like
Hmm.
G4 TV. Except for it's even worse because they spent way more money than G4 TV than Comcast did on G4 TV.
Exactly. Yeah. Something else that there was that well, kind of big gaming news that happened this year that we're both excited about is Dead Island coming back.
Oh yeah,
Real,
that's
real stoked. Finally, it took long
yeah,
enough. Took
yeah,
years.
yeah.
We're finally getting Dead
That's
Island
on
2, man.
my most anticipated list.
Yeah. So that was I'd say like that counts as gaming news as well because we didn't know it was going to come back. While I'm on that in terms of gaming news,
Mhm,
not that it's that big, but we saw how Assassin's Creed is going to be moving forward in the future and how they're doing their games and how they're separating things and
mhm,
uh, spending more time on the games rather than like releasing things once a year. Or maybe they're going back to, I can't remember what the deals was. But the thing that I'm more interested in is what CD Projekt Red had to talk about, which is all their future plans for Witcher games, Cyberpunk
mhm.
games, and they announced a bunch of projects. One of them we later found out was actually a remake of the first Witcher game. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a remake because you have to change the combat mechanics because the combat mechanics are very old school.
Mhm.
Very it relies a lot on your mouse, and you need it if you're going to remake a remake of that game, you need to make it work on controller so that's on
Mhm.
consoles as well. So obviously that's going to be a remake. EA lost the rights to FIFA. Well, not lost the
Yes.
rights, but they decided not to like reapply for it
Renew.
because it's just not
Yeah.
renew it
So.
because FIFA wanted way more money, like way more money. So FIFA wanted way more money. EA was like, "Nah, we're good. People play the game because we make the game." Which
Yeah.
is so like here's the thing: people who play like FIFA, they love that game so much. They're not going to play the next FIFA. They're going to keep playing the EA game that's made every year. So
Yeah.
moving forward, it's going to be EA Sports FC, and I promise you, no one's going to care. Everyone's just going to
Okay.
buy that game as if it's the next FIFA. FIFA shot themselves in the foot with that one. But also, I hate
Exactly.
FIFA, the corporation. They're a non-profit organization
They're
with
pretty corrupt.
millionaires.
Yeah. Yeah. They're pretty
They're so
corrupt.
corrupt, man. It's a non-profit organization where everyone has like they're all millionaires. How can you become a millionaire from your non-profit? It makes no sense. Anyways,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna get into that. That's politics. Um, yeah, let's. Oh, everyone hated Chris Pratt's voice in the Mario trailer that got released.
They hated his regular voice. I mean, it was like
Yeah,
his voice with a Jersey Italian accent, basically.
it sounded better in the newer trailer.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And I think maybe it's just maybe they did redo a bit of it because that first little glimpse you hear of him, he's like, "Oh boy, Mushroom Kingdom, here we come." It's so bad.
Well,
So there was that reaction to it. I'm still gonna watch the movie because I think everybody else is doing
looks
a
pretty
great
good.
job
Looks
in
pretty
terms of
good,
voice
actually.
acting as well. Everybody else is perfect, man. It's just unfortunate that Chris Pratt, like I love the guy, but just like if they were going to do Chris Pratt, just use your normal voice, man. Don't do the accent.
Mhm.
Just be Chris Pratt. Just do what you did for the Lego movies, you know?
Mhm.
Let's see. Is there anything else that I'm missing here? No, that's about it. Well, yeah. We know like the Witcher series and all that stuff. The Witcher 4 is getting worked
Mhm.
on, all that stuff. Yeah, I don't think it has to do with the books. I think they're going their own way. But yeah,
Mhm.
that's all the little leftover news I have.
Cool.
Let's
All
get
right.
into our
Most
yeah.
anticipated games.
My power gets cut soon, so let's
All
let's
right.
kind of blast through these a little bit if we
Cool.
can.
Most anticipated 2023. This one, I think we should just read off our list and then talk about
Mm,
them, since
sure.
they'll probably be very different. So I'll start off with mine. So my number one most anticipated is Starfield. It was supposed to come out this
Mm-hmm.
past year, got delayed. I hope that there were some rumors about like the gameplay not being that great. So hopefully performance issues and gameplay stuff got worked out. They don't have a release date
Yeah,
yet, just first half of 2023, basically. Number two,
Starfield
Star.
is not on my list. I was
Oh,
gonna say while you're
wow.
talking about Starfield, I'll say that it's not on my list,
Okay.
just because everything we've seen so far, like, and I've seen a lot of like their like they had a lot of those like not like little mini podcasts where they
Yeah.
talked about
Yeah.
the development of it, and I
Yeah.
watched all of those, and there's a couple exciting things that they talk about, but overall, everything that I've seen is just a little bit boring. You know what I mean? It just seems a little bit slow. I'm a little bit worried about the gameplay. I know the RPG mechanics are going to be phenomenal. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? But I'm worried that the gameplay or the game, I'm just worried it's a bit too slow for me. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like there are some games out there that are amazing games, but they're just for me a little too slow.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is Red Dead Redemption 2. That is a perfect 10 out of 10 game, but for me it's just a little too slow.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. And I can't enjoy it because it's too slow for me. And for that, that's why Starfield's not on my list.
All right. All right. Number 2, Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Is that on your list?
Oh hell yeah,
What number
hell
is
yeah,
it?
Dennis.
What number is it?
It's probably I don't have any numbers listed here, but if I had
Okay.
to give it a number, probably number three.
Okay.
Yeah, probably number three.
Yeah, I had so much fun with the last one, Fallen Order. I like the story. I did think there probably need to be a little more variation in the locations and whatnot.
Mm.
But
I think we'll see
overall,
that in the new one.
yeah.
I think everything's going to be amplified in the new game. Like the like, because everything about the first, I love the first game. The
Mhm.
story was amazing. The graphics look good. Gameplay mechanics were good. I just wish there was a little bit more. But I'm also glad that they didn't give us more in terms of the skill tree and what you could do, because it's like then it could get convoluted. Rather do less and make those things really good, which is what they did. But I think that because they've nailed that now in the first game, the second game they're going to be able to do hopefully a bigger skill tree, hopefully customization beyond a poncho.
Yeah.
If I like that was the one thing that I hated about that game was every single time I would find a new chest, I'm like, ooh, new item, poncho, poncho,
Yeah. Yeah.
poncho. Just every time you get a freaking poncho, man.
Yeah,
Anyway,
that was
so I'm yeah looking
that's the
forward to
thing
the new game.
about Elden Ring was like you could get gear, armor, weapons,
Mm.
whatever that would actually
Customization was off the charts, and it would
yes,
make a difference. Yeah,
it would make a huge difference both cosmetically and gameplay wise. Where and this is also a limitation of the franchise, right? You can't have Jedi's doing stuff that the Force can't do, right?
yeah,
So that there is a limitation there. So and the lightsabers themselves are a limitation. You can only get a certain you can change your hilt, but you can't even see that when you're playing. Let's be honest. Um,
true. Yeah,
so there's a very limited. You do different colors. That's it. So it's hard to add this variation to it. That's why I'm
mm,
so kind of focused on the locations because that's where they can bring some more variety to the game because there's other parts. Yeah, and I think clothing wise, more than a poncho would be great, and that's not breaking any
yeah.
type of Star Wars canon by doing that.
I think we're both looking forward to the story the most, though, for sure. Like,
Yeah.
and the atmosphere. I've been replaying the game recently because it's a great game for people to watch along with. Like, I
Hmm.
have a friend that hangs out a lot and they just kind of watch me play games because they're not like the best at playing games, so they just kind of
Hmm.
watch me. And I've been replaying the game, and it's just so atmospheric. It's so nice to follow along. The story's good, but they really nailed the atmosphere in that game, which I like. So I think the second game is going to be awesome. You know, the guy's older. I'm excited to find out what has happened between no beard Cal and bearded Cal. You know, there's obviously a bit of a time gap, so I'm excited to see what happened there. Yeah.
My number 3 is Dead Island 2. You had mentioned that before. This is a game I
Hmm.
was surprised that they actually won. The first game was kind of more of like a cult hit versus like a big
Hmm.
hit. I really liked it. They had announced the second one. I was happy. Then we hadn't heard anything for a long, long time, so we assumed that it was
Years.
canceled. Basically, I'd assumed it was canceled and it was gone.
Yeah.
And no, they are coming out. It did get delayed to April 28th, but everything looks cool from it so far, so I'm excited for that. Is that on your list at all?
Um, why am I blanking right now? You just said the game's name. Say it again.
Dead Island 2.
Yeah, no, that is on my list.
Okay.
I think I was gonna say that's probably my number three as well. Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's probably three or four around there if I have
Okay.
to guess. But it is on my list.
All right. Number 4 for me is Redfall. Now, at first when I heard about the game, I wasn't that excited, but then when I saw more about it, how it's open world and how so I thought it was going to be kind of a Back for Blood, Left for Dead thing. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but we just had got Back for Blood, so I didn't want like another one that was just vampires instead. But it seems like this is going to have a little more to it and something different. So it has kind of like a zombie-esque feel to it, but then in kind of an open world setting, much like Dead Island. So I'm looking forward to that. And number 5 is a game coming out pretty soon, which is Hogwarts Legacy on
Mm.
February 10th.
That's actually my number two.
Okay. Talk
Yeah,
about
that's my number two.
Whoa. Talk about
Um,
it.
well, I'm just look. I like the Harry Potter movies growing up. I think a lot of people did. I like the books too. I didn't finish the book series, but I finished all the movies. Loved them. Uh, at first, I was excited for the game because I was like, yeah, it's a Harry Potter open world game. It's an actual like bigger budget Harry Potter game.
Hmm.
That's gonna be nice. I even enjoyed some of the older like Harry Potter 1 and 2, like the movie games, you know what I mean? Like they
Hmm.
were actually not that bad the first couple of ones. I enjoyed it. It
Hmm.
was a Quidditch World Cup game, and I loved that game. Like that was like somewhere I think around like Harry Potter 1 or 2 when that came out. Anyway, so I've been excited. Everything they've been showing me, I've been excited about. I thought that the game was going to be rather like there's a lot of mechanics that they've showed us, but I thought the game was going to be small until the most recent video where they showed you flying around on a broomstick, and the open world's pretty big. Like there's and even then they didn't show us everything. Like the game itself is the more and more I'm seeing of it, it's bigger and bigger than I thought.
Yeah.
I don't the game I still think the gameplay itself is whatever. I know people are saying like, the spells look really cool. I think they're whatever. I think I'm going to be way more into the RPG element of
Hmm.
discovering the secrets and the mysteries and making friends with the other students and the other like more characters, and that's the part like the room of requirement, the grooming of like animals and stuff. Like there's literally a thing where you can like brush your like whatever monsters you look after. I love that
Hmm.
kind of stuff. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's also the fact that it's coming out soon is
Yeah.
why it's high up on my list. It's
Yeah.
second on my list because it's coming out
Just
on
a
like I
month
think
from
2 days
now.
after my birthday. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, it comes out like just before or just after my birthday. So that's also why it's number 2 on my list. Yeah.
All right, cool. I have some honorable mentions or other things. Like, for example, you had
Mm.
mentioned, I think, before about Alan Wake 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's supposedly coming. That would be like number one on my list, probably. But the fact is, I don't think it's coming out this year. That's my general thought.
Mm.
Is
Oh,
we ha
fair, yeah.
like they haven't shown. They showed that one short teaser that had no gameplay whatsoever, and it's like,
I also feel that way about Starfield. Like I still think there's a high
really?
possibility Starfield gets delayed as well.
It could get delayed, but I think Starfield is definitely come out this year.
It has
Like,
to. It has to, yeah.
yeah, maybe it won't make whatever that Well, first of all, they haven't even put a date yet, so I think that's what's kind of helping them.
Exactly, yeah.
But I do think it's coming out this year. So Alan Wake 2, I don't think is coming out this year, and I don't think Spider-Man 2 supposedly is coming out this year. I don't think it's gonna make this year.
You don't think it's gonna come out this year? You don't think they'll make it?
That's just
Here's why the game will be easy. Here's why it was easy to make Miles Morales so quick. The reason why I think it'll come out this year is because the New York City that they built. They're just going to use. They're not going to build New
true.
York City for the again and again.
True.
Like they're using the same. Like Miles Morales uses pretty much all the same resources of
Mm-hmm.
the first Spider-Man game. They just added winter. You know what I mean? They just added some snow. So they're not gonna. They've already built like this really high res model of New York City. So that's already half the work done. They just have to work on like new combat mechanics and a story. So I do think it'll come out this year for
Okay.
sure.
I think we will know
Yeah.
better by E3. E3 will better know about these two games, Alan Wake 2 and Spider-Man 2, because
Yeah.
uh because we'll know what kind of state they're in. The Wolf Among Us 2 also supposedly come out this year. That would
Hmm.
also be on my list, but not sure if it's coming out, you know.
Yeah.
Not because it's a big
I'd like
game.
that as well.
Not because it's a
I
big
like
game,
that. Yeah.
just because it's a property that's kind of,
It might
has
just get canceled. They
I
might
hope
pull the
not.
plug on it.
I hope
I hope
not.
not. I mean, it's a great Telltale series.
Yeah. Speaking of Telltale, I'm also looking forward to the Expanse Telltale
The
series.
Expanse. Yeah.
Yes.
I've been meaning to watch the TV show.
Oh, I binged it earlier
Yeah.
last year, and it was fantastic. So
Yeah. Just to
definitely
get
one
me
of the best
ready for the
sci-fis.
game.
Yeah, so I would definitely do that, and it stars one of my favorite characters in there. So I think, yeah. So that's
Okay.
what I'm looking forward to. What did I not list that you are looking forward to in 2023?
My number one game that I'm looking forward to, and here's the thing. My number one game is Final Fantasy 16. There's nothing that's going to change that because if it was up to me, I'd get like so many Final Fantasy tattoos across my body if I didn't care that much. I love the Final Fantasy
Hmm.
series. Like I'm a die-hard Final Fantasy player. Final Fantasy 14, even though it wasn't not in my top 5 games this year, I played a crap ton of Final Fantasy 14. But to be fair, MMORPGs are a huge time sink. I'm really looking forward to Final Fantasy 16 because the past couple of years we've been getting a lot of remakes. And the Final Fantasy 7 remake, it was fantastic. Loved it. Don't get me wrong. They also changed it a bit from the original Final Fantasy VII. They also just recently released the Crisis Core game, a remaster or retexturing of the Crisis Core game. A lot of like Final Fantasy VII stuff in the past couple of years, but it's nice to get a new game, a fresh game. And so far, everything I've seen, it looks really action-packed. It looks a bit more like darker and heavier than most Final Fantasy games because it's like dark fantasy. And I think the entire cast is British, and it's like very like medieval, and I'm liking it a lot. So that's my number one. My number two we spoke about Hogwarts Legacy.
Mm-hmm.
What do I have here as my number three here? My number three is the Star Wars Jedi Survivor. That's my number three. And then let's see, I have my fourth over here is I'm kind of stuck on my fourth between either Hades 2 or Diablo 4.
Mm-hmm.
Both of those games I'm really looking forward to. Both of those games are pretty different. The Diablo 4 I'm looking forward to, but knowing Blizzard, they can still absolutely screw it up. The week before the game comes out, they can change something and screw up the entire thing. Right now, as is, from what I've been hearing from people who have seen like more of it, it looks good. They shouldn't play around with it too much. Like it looks good. Hopefully they can release it and they don't screw it up or anything. You know what I mean? Hades 2, I know is going to be fantastic. So looking forward to that. And then I would say my fifth thing that I'm looking forward to is probably most likely Dead Island 2, or Marvel Spider-Man 2. But between those two, really looking forward to Dead Island 2. And then honorable mention after that, because it would have been my sixth game if not. But the new Legend of Zelda game, the Tears of the Kingdom, because I did recently replay Breath of the Wild after Elden Ring, because Elden Ring got me back into that game again just to play it again. Loved it as well. So there is that. A couple other honorable mentions. Some of these games I'm going to mention aren't even games that I'm looking forward to. They're just games that it's good to look out for because some of them are just funny. Like I want to know what the hell Arc 2 is going to be. Do you remember that ridiculous trailer? It was just Dwayne. Who was it? It was
not Dwayne.
Vin Diesel. Vin Diesel. It was Vin Diesel on a freaking T-Rex with a gun. And that was the whole trailer. Like that, we didn't know anything about it. So I'm not looking. I like Ark. I played the crap out of Ark. It's a good survival mechanic-based game. But I have no idea what Ark 2 is going to be. I just think it's funny to keep that game in mind. Starfield we spoke about. I think there's a game we both forgot about that's looking quite good called Redfall. I don't know if you remember Redfall. Redfall's looking pretty good as well.
Yeah, I mentioned that one.
Yeah. Did you mention it?
Yeah, I said it was. At first, I didn't care about it because I thought it was just gonna be Back 4 Blood or Left 4 Dead, but then
my bad. Yeah, you did say that. Yeah, Redfall's looking pretty damn good, to be honest. There's that game that got showed off at the Game Awards, which was like this weird 90s GTA with a bunch of movie stars in it. Crime Boss Rocket City, remember that? It had like all these celebrities in it, and that. I have no idea what that's gonna be, so that's something worth mentioning as well. System Shock remake, if it comes out this year, also going to be really sick. System Shock remake. Minecraft Legends, it looks interesting. It's like a Minecraft RPG. I'm a big Minecraft fan. And then the last thing I would want to mention was also announced at the Game Awards is Armored Core 6, Fires of Rubicon, which is going to be From Software's next game. And I'm actually also really looking forward to this game because I haven't played Armored Core since I think I played Armored Core when I was like a kid, man. You know what I mean? And I'm sure it's going to be completely different now. I think I played when did Armored Core 4 came out? Like that's the last one I played.
It's a while ago.
Yeah, it's got to be early 2000s. 2006. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that was the last one I played. 2006. But that's all I've got.
All right. Cool.
Unfortunately, I gotta get going out of here. Got my power's getting cut soon.
All right.
But
cool.
Yeah.
So looks like 2022 was a pretty awesome year for gaming, and I think 2023 has potential to be. I don't know.
Man, sorry. One last honorable mention, and I'm gonna mention this in every video until there's people playing the game, so I can play the game. But Among Us VR. It's genuinely a good game. Please, people, play the game. I'm sick and tired of waiting like 10 minutes to join a lobby and then there's like 3 people and we can't play. Like, because you can't play that game with anything less than 6 people, in my opinion. And it's difficult to get a full lobby. People, get Among Us VR. It's great. I promise you. It's fun time.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for everyone who has watched or listened to this podcast. We're here every week. You can find us, the podcast, on Spotify or Anchor.fm. You can find our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Revog. Subscribe to that. You can follow me on Twitter at ThinkHero, Instagram, Dennis.tzng. Josh, where can people find you?
You guys can find me on Twitch at It's Thespis, all lowercase. There should be a link in the description below. Once I get to 100 followers, I will go back to streaming daily. And you guys can find me in the Revog Discord channel. There should also be a link in the description below.
Yep.
Me and Dennis are on there. We're on there pretty frequently. If you guys want to talk about video games or even other things, movies, TV shows, whatever, yeah, hit us up in the Discord channel.
Cool. All right. Until next time, see you guys later.
Later.